Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host, Mike. If you're a regular listener, you know my voice. Sorry about that. If you're new, then everything's amazing, everything's wonderful, and I hope you come back again another time. I am delighted to say I'm being joined by Sarah. There was going to be Dan, but he's not here yet and he's not read the messages, so he may join it partway through, but Sarah is here and Sarah's going to carry the show as usual.
Good evening.
We love hearing from you all. Join the conversation, stay connected, and share your thoughts on social media at Sutton Podcast. Your likes, shares, and comments really do help us grow. Sarah, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you, Mike. In fact, I'm a bit tired. It was a long journey up to Rochdale and back, I have to say, as always.
And we're going to be keeping it very tight today because we've got important things to do this evening. So your little one is birthday. And are you ready for back to school? Did you get the message about some weird day they're doing on day one?
I didn't get any message about that, but Lucy mentioned today that she was, I need to dress up in such and such a costume. And I was like, oh, well, it would have been nice to know that a few weeks ago.
Well, yeah, it did. There was an email, but it's like, hang on, that's day one. That's when the kids stand in front of a door. You can't do that.
They do send... Primary schools these days, I've noticed, do actually send a huge deluge of emails, so things just get lost in there.
They do, absolutely, yeah. And the stuff you're reading, don't know. No interest. Anyway, that's completely off topic. Are you ready for back to school? Is where I was kind of going with that, but we still got a week to go.
Yeah, probably not really. No.
Fair enough. So I did send a little knowing me, knowing you question, whether you saw it on the invites or not. I know you saw the invite for the wrong time, but do you travel to home games the same way each time, and what does your routine entail? And there's going to be the jingle while you think about it if you haven't thought about it already. So do you go the same way every game? And if you do, what does your routine entail? Because I still, even though I make a conscious thing of I'm not doing it today, as I'm walking down that road towards the bus garage, I still have to cross it at a certain point. I can't cross it before then. And I'm like, this is mad. Why are you doing this?
Totally
how about you?
That one. This is a knowing me, knowing you's question that I really don't have to think about because I know how I go to home games. The answer is no, I don't go the same way every time. And that depends on a number of things. For the men's games, if it's a Saturday, and then it falls on me to take my children to football because my husband looks after them when we have away games, so I get the day off. But if we're at home, we've got that. If the weather's okay, we will walk. It's about a half-hour walk from our house because we're right on the other side of Sutton. So where we live, you can get a bus halfway, either half. You either walk into town and get the 413, or you get a bus from our house to the point where you halfway there. So we either walk or we get half walk on one bus, but we actually normally walk all the way these days because they're good girls and I like getting them exercise. And we generally do take the same route. So it's a bit of an annoying walk. So if they're not coming with me, so if it's a midweek game or if for whatever reason they're doing something else that day, I'll just jump on my bike and it takes me 10 minutes. If I do that, then I do go the same way every time. There are alternative routes I can take, but I'm a creature of habit like you, Mike. I like to go the same way. So and so that's for the men's games. For the women, obviously, we're playing at the David Weir Centre this season. Haven't actually been yet. They played a home game they played this season was at Cobham, and I actually rode my bike all the way there. It was a nice day. But that's not going to be a habit because we're not going to be playing at Cobham.
No. Yeah.
For the David Weir, I'm going to try walking to that as well. So that
Yeah.
I don't have a habit for that yet because I haven't gone.
We haven't started that. Yeah, no. Won't take me long to get a habit. Interesting what you said about the half an hour, because I saw this thing on Threads the other day where some person had put, "Oh, if you're in London and someone says it's only around the corner, prepare for a 25-minute plus walk."
Yeah, that's just a walk.
Yeah, I mean, how else would you get somewhere if it's literally only 25 minutes away? How else would you do it? It's like,
that is, to be fair, for me, I would say that is the perfect length for a little bike ride.
Yeah.
But then that's me. Not everyone's got a bike, and not everyone can be bothered riding one. So
yeah, mine's buried in the garage somewhere. So I'm like, by the time I've got that out and make sure it's ready, getting there, putting it all away, I might as well just walk it. Anyway, there was a message that's just gone out on social media that they're going to be doing sort of a cleanup day at Gander Green Lane on Sunday the 7th, I think it said. And they're asking for volunteers. So if anyone's around for that, go and have a look. I'm not sure. I might come along in like a supervisory capacity and point at things, because I mean, you've seen these hands. Look at them. These hands don't do work. Physical, nice, soft, gentle hands. But I can point. Yeah. Right. Ahead of the game, I know you don't really go into them with much expectation or anything like that, but what were your thoughts and hopes ahead of the game, and were there any surprises in the lineup of people you didn't expect or that you wished were in it?
Nothing surprises me these days when it comes to the lineup, to be honest. I don't have any expectations at all when it comes to that. We could see anybody. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see it before the match because I was busy getting there and meeting people and stuff. So kind of when the teams came out, it was the first time I saw the lineup. And I was like, oh, there's Mr. Eccleston. Okay. I didn't really have any surprises there. In terms of expectations for the game itself, well, we always lose at Rochdale, so that's basically what I was expecting. I said to my Rochdale pal before the game, if we don't expect anything, then we won't be disappointed.
That's basically what I said.
A little bit pessimistic, but no, that doesn't mean I haven't got faith in my team. But it was always going to be a difficult fixture, and it is a really hard ground to go to. So, yeah, that was it, really.
I mean, that's exactly what I said to Joe. Is the hope for the best, but expect the worst, and then you're going to be like, "Yay!"
That's served me well for the last 30 years supporting Sutton, to be honest.
Exactly. So, I mean, the first half, you kind of there was expectation of Rochdale coming bombing forward and everything, but we kind of managed them quite well. And as you said, Junior had a great game. I thought he was going to come in at left back. So I did say to him after the game on Saturday, I said, "Get practicing with that left foot this week, mate." But he came in, did really well, wasn't overawed, and Steve is full of praise of him.
Yeah.
But what I mean, Control had most of the possession. They created opportunities, but I think Jack only really had one or two saves to make. But what were you feeling kind of as halftime approached and during the half? Were you, this is a matter of time, or were you thinking, oh, hang on a minute?
Kind of a bit of both, because I felt that Rochdale were on top of us for most of the first half, to be honest. They did have the better half. And I think there were times when we just gave them a bit too much space and let them kind of run into big holes that shouldn't really have been there. And I also felt, absolutely no disrespect to Rochdale, they're obviously a good team, but I thought we're a bit lucky they're not a little bit better at hitting the target. Because if they were, we could have been 2 or 3 down. But they did have some world-class misses during that half. If they'd managed to get those on target, then we wouldn't have been so lucky.
Well, I'm going to have to just basically say I watched it on DAZN, but I wasn't live because I was out, and I was watching it in like 10-minute spell, having to log off, go do something else, and then watching it again another little few minutes.
Which I could have done that from the ground.
Yeah, so that might have been when my view is skewed, because there might be bits of it that I'd actually missed. But I mean, we've mentioned anyway, Lewis, we're forced into a change with Liam being suspended, and Eddie being injured. There was also another change. He went for what seemed like a back four. Were you surprised by that, or again, is that one of those just?
It
we'll take
kind
it?
of felt right for the occasion, to be honest.
Mhm.
I felt like that was probably a good tactic to go for. So yeah, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, and Mo came in for his,
Yep.
our first sight of Mo. How did he seem for that 30?
Oh, rather
45?
liked him actually. There were times when I was worried he was going to get a bit swamped, but he didn't. It was I think he kind of held up pretty well. Yeah, I'd like to see more of him.
Mm-hmm. He seems to be that kind of midfield battler. That
he's small. I quite like a little midfielder.
So we want him small and angry, but not too angry. On the pitch, angry. I mean, do you think that this was the change was through tactics or through we've got no choice? We have to do something.
A bit of each, I think. I think maybe a little bit more necessity than we'd have liked. Mm-hmm. But I do think it was also something that potentially would have worked quite well. Yeah.
Well, we came in at halftime 0-0,
mm-hmm.
Which was great.
I was pleased with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought we were lucky.
It was fairly early in the second half that I'm not sure people have given enough credit for the build up to the goal, but
that was better than the goal.
Yeah. So the goal came, and I think Steve kind of said it sort of got it into the back of the net, and I'm like, it was a very good cross, and it was one of those that you crossed over and you hope it's going to hit someone and deflect somewhere. But how do you see it in the ground, and how were you feeling at that point? Were you kind of, oh God, we're struggling now?
Yeah, I've been dreading you asking me that, Mike, because I was having a cup of tea, and at that moment my hand slipped with the tea, and I looked down to not spit it, and that's when they scored. So I didn't actually see it go in. I did see the build up to it, and I was like, I mean, actually, for a couple of minutes before that, it had been coming. You could tell it was coming. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're just like, oh, they're going to score. But I saw the build up to it, and I was like, oh no, and then it was like, and looked up and they scored.
Don't drop your tea. That's two sins. You missed the goal and you dropped your tea.
Didn't spill a drop.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Excellent. That's even better then. But we did have chances ourselves. I mean, we had. Oh, what have I written down here? I mean, Simps had a shot. This was kind of a miscued shot, but it's like one of those. Oh, damn it! That could have done something.
That's kind of that sums up the second half for us, really.
Yeah,
there were a few like that
in space, and you're kind of like, if you see that build up and the ball dropping to Nadders, you're going to go, that's a goal, and it just couldn't get it under control. What was the other one? Brandon, straight through.
That was the worst one, I think. I mean worse. I don't mean he was rubbish. Worst. I mean that was like the most. Oh no, you know, the one that you most thought was going in.
Yeah, about an inch out, and that keeper made it. I mean, fair play to the keeper. I think they said it was 17. I mean, it was like,
really?
That's brave. I don't know if that's true, but the commentators were talking about 17-year-old.
Well, it's a big ground. I didn't get close enough to see his face very clearly. Yeah, I think that those moments it was quite frustrating, because I think, well, the first half it wasn't the best half of football I've ever seen in like most exciting game. And like I say, I think Rochdale were kind of on top of us a bit, but in the second half it was a lot more us, and we had a lot more chances, and the fact that they were kind of all sort of going awry at the last moment, it was quite frustrating, because it felt like we deserved to get more out of it at that point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then Rochdale had a few in the first half like that as well, so
yeah. I mean, I think the guy who scored a hat-trick against us, I think I read somewhere last year against for Hartlepool.
Oh yeah, he does score a few. I know that much.
But yeah, he's a big player. I mean, is it just bad luck, or is there something missing from that last touch? Is it something we can just get over, or is it gonna, you know what, it's gonna come?
I think some of it is confidence, because when you're in front of goal and you've just got to hit it, you've really got to believe. I mean, I'm saying it like I know what it's like to be a striker. I've got no idea, but when you're up against a team that is well organised in defence, they know what they're doing. You've got to be cunning. You've got to get in the right place. You've got to get in the right position, and you can't just smack it when you feel like smacking because they're just going through the sky like it did a few times. And I think you really have to have a confident head on your shoulders. And I think we've got some great players for that. But I mean, we've just played 3 games in 6 days, and we've got no points from those 3 games.
Yeah.
So the confidence isn't going to be at its highest at the moment. I mean, obviously, you've got to remember. The games that we've played so far, they've been on paper some of the toughest fixtures of the season. We always knew it was going to be a difficult start as soon as we saw the fixtures. So I think that was always going to affect. I mean, to be honest, they're professionals. They've got a really good attitude in that squad, you can tell, but they're still human beings, and it's going to be difficult when you're 1-0 down and it's a big ground and the home team have got a massive crowd and. It's quite intimidating, I think, especially if you haven't often played at grounds like that before, which some of our players wouldn't have done.
No, absolutely.
And I can't remember what your question was now. You were asking, like, is there something? We've got the potential. We're going to get that. I reckon it's going to click. I mean, I know I say this every season, but it feels like this is, like I say, this was always going to be a bit of a rocky start. And I think we're going to start putting a few results together and we'll get into a groove. And then maybe we'll just start sort of sneaking up the table. No, I keep saying this, right? I keep saying this. We had all these fixtures at the start of the season against what is probably like the big teams in this division. We didn't want to go out and win all those. Then people will start noticing us. Then they'll start raising their game when they played us. What we want to do is lull them into a false sense of security. Let them think we're rubbish. Lose the first few games. Let them think we're rubbish. And then start sneaking up the table and catching them all on the west. We've got the first bit right.
Yeah.
We've got the first bit right. We've just got to get the second bit right now.
Well, I kind of trying to, because a lot of people are jumping on this on social media going, oh, we're terrible. We've not won in this many games. We've not scored. And I'm like, okay, let's try and compare this. So I've had a little look. We finished 12th last season, which is 12 from 24. And I've had a look, and the team that finished 10th, so 10th from 20 last season, was Brentford in the Premier League. And the teams that we've played, so York was Arsenal, who came second. Forest Green would be Man City, who came third. Rochdale, I think, I can't remember if it's 4th or 5th they came, but basically wherever Chelsea finished. And so you've got all these teams that if
Rochdale,
it was Brentford,
Chelsea of the National League.
I know, but if it was Brentford playing those games in the Premier League, people were looking at, oh yeah, but look at those fixtures. There's no chance they had there. And then we've got Carlisle, who obviously in the Premier League you don't have them going down, but Barnet aren't there anymore, so you could say Carlisle potentially Barnet. So we've always knew it was going to be tough, as you said. I mean, I made a mistake last time. I said Solihull finished in the playoffs last season, but it wasn't. It was the year before. But you could argue that Solihull we may have got something more out of, but at the time, yeah, 0-0's fine. Yeah, absolutely. But I think even though some of those chances didn't end up in shots on target, like Brandon's one, it didn't end up in a shot. Nada's one didn't end up in a shot. The chances are there. We're making chances.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
We will start putting them away, hopefully. But we will start putting them away.
That's how it feels. It feels like we're getting those chances, but just that final, they're kind of a little bit shy in front of goal, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't want to shoot.
Well, that could almost be true because when I spoke to Josh Coley a couple of seasons back, or last season, he said you get to this point when things aren't going well that you just don't want to take on the responsibility and you want to look for someone else to do it so they can mess up rather than you. And he goes, and that then makes itself, you're going to mess up. It's going to mess up because you're not taking the chances. So it does kind of go there like that. But there were positives. Both Jacks had another good game. Jack Taylor had a good game as well, and Jack Sims. I think the defence is starting to come together. Unfortunately, obviously, we've lost Kirky for a while now, but I think the defence is starting to find its shape. And I mean, Jaden did well when he came on, apart from maybe one tackle, which
I know the one you mean.
Skip over that one. But yeah, everyone's doing well individually, but we're not clicking quite as a team yet.
Which is surprising after that pre-season, isn't it?
Well, I'm really surprised because pre-season was great. We got everyone in nice and early, and it was like, well, actually, we've got everyone ready to gel. We're here. We're hitting the ground running, and then it's just stuttered ever so slightly. But as you say, we're gonna suddenly start sneaking up the table before anyone realizes where we are and what we're doing. Hopefully, but we are 5 games in. I did say to Joe, he came big surprise to him when I said they didn't even used to publish the tables until sort of 6 to 10 games in yesteryear. But 5 games in, no wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses. We're 22nd, which obviously isn't great, but it's going to look great, as you say, when they start showing the rise throughout the season, the chart going upwards. Definitely, that's going to 100% look great. Do you think that it's a case of we are looking at this long-term thing, not week to week, month to month? I know Steve kind of is very much with that. We just move to the next game. We're not looking too far ahead. He always says, and Matt said as well, never too high, never too low. But do you think that that's realistic for the fan base to be saying, okay, well, we'll just have to accept what it is at the moment?
Oh, definitely. I think achieving stuff, that instant gratification thing that all football fans want. I think that's the sort of thing you can expect from a club with big money that buy big money players, because then you've got that instant success ready to use almost. But for us, it's more like we're growing the club, and we have to be careful how we do that, because in a sense, when we got promoted into League Two, it was almost like we had to grow too quickly as a club, and we outgrew ourselves in a way. And it was very, very difficult. And I'm sure, like any member of the board will tell you, that was, although exciting, was a really difficult time for the club, because so much needed to be done in a short space of time. It was really hard to keep up with ourselves. Now, I think we need to, like you say, be realistic, because if we kind of pace ourselves a bit better, then I think we will then our growth will be a lot more sustainable than if we try and do too much too soon. Because if we do that, then what happened when we got promoted? We went back down again after not that long. We had a couple of good seasons.
Yes.
Then we went back down again, and it kind of, in a sense, almost felt like we'd gone backwards a little bit, because we were then in a place where we were back as a non-league club, but we it felt like we'd lost stuff. Like, for example, the 3G pitch that we had to get rid of when we got promoted, and it almost felt like a step back. That's not kind of what we want to do. We don't want to be a yo-yo club going up and down, up and down. We want to build a good foundation to go forward. I mean, this is just my opinion, obviously, as a fan. I don't really know anything about running a football club, but that's how it feels to me. And I think in terms of the team itself, which is kind of more what we're talking about, really, I think we're looking at something similar, really. You don't just, bring in loads of players and shove them together and hope for the best. You've got to build you've got to build a culture within a squad where you've got to get kind of the attitude spot on. You've got to get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. You've got to get everyone, getting to know each other well. And obviously, any football squad there's going to be comings and goings, but you want that core of players who kind of build up that kind of way of playing together over time. And a lot of people, and I can completely understand why, because we football fans, we want to go out there and want to see our team score lots of goals and win games. So people can be a bit impatient about it, and I get that. I totally get that. They're paying their money. They're paying money to watch that game. They want to win that game. And yeah, totally see it. But I think sometimes it's quite hard to see the bigger picture. And I think with a club like Sutton, we've got to see the bigger picture, because it doesn't work any other way.
You're absolutely right with the sense of loss of the league status, which is strange because we were only there for a short period. But what we've got is people who now think that we have a right to be back there. Whereas, in fact, it's only a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of our history that we're there. In fact, it's a tiny bit of our history that we're in the level we're at now, realistically. But, yes, it's certainly a thing of, well, no, we need to look upwards and forwards. And I know people get frustrated hearing that, we're all working hard, we're doing this, we're all pushing towards it, because people keep saying, well, show it on the pitch then. But it is often forgotten that there's another team who are also trying to work hard, and they're starting from a point a little bit ahead of us. One of the comments I saw was, well, it just proves we should never have let Will Davis go. And it's like, he wanted to go. You can't force him to stay. Yes, we could have forced him to stay for this season, but you would have had a player who's not happy and lost him for no money at the end of the season. So
what's the point in having someone playing for you whose heart isn't in it? They're not not only are they not going to play well for you and not going to do anything for you, but it's going to be really bad for them, because who's going to want to buy them at the end of the season?
Exactly. Have you had a chance to tomorrow's interview post match?
Sorry,
did you listen to tomorrow's post match?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said tomorrow's interview, and I was very confused. So tomorrow's interview. I don't normally actually, but I did, and I really felt for him. He sounded really dejected. I think, and I often I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, because he's not as engaging as some managers are when it comes to things like that. But it's clear that even if he's not particularly expressive about how he feels, sometimes you can really tell that he was gutted. And you can tell that he really cares.
Yeah.
He wants to do a good job. He really desperately wants to do a good job. Yeah. And he's got the players on his side.
Of course, yeah. I mean, even if you felt that for whatever reason he doesn't care about Sutton, so let's pretend that we can agree with that. It's a case of he cares not to lose. He wants to win. He doesn't actually care what he wins. He just wants to win. That's kind of in his DNA. And you were at the Meet the Manager evening, and he sort of came out with, "I'm sorry, I'm not Matt," and I was just
that hurt me. I was like,
you're not supposed to be. But he's clearly feeling frustrated. He's taking it on board, and he's apologised to all the staff. And I was like, this isn't a swan song, Steve. Come on, just got to.
He actually, you say that, but he worried me for a moment there. He's like, I'm going to do a bit of soul searching, and he's apologising to practically everyone he can name at the club. And I'm like, you sound like you're about to resign because you think you're doing that badly. Cheer up, mate. Come on.
We're having a super awful August, and now we're going to have a super September.
That's the spirit.
Yeah,
that's what standing October.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll worry about November when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, people are obviously very pessimistic, forgetting what they felt like when the schedule came out and saying, "Oh God, we're going to struggle," and now thinking, "Well, we should have picked up more points at this stage." I think, as I always do, we need the unity. I mean, we've got people saying, "Oh, this isn't a recent thing. We've only won X number of games since last January. The home form is this, that, the other." Now, the thing is, that kind of goes back to midway through our second season. And since then, we've had a change in management and staff, loads of changes, players, changes of behind the scenes. The only thing that's remained stable is us. So
it's true. And I don't like this kind of, in August, you can't really talk about form. You can't really talk about the end of last season because, like you say, half the players weren't there. But also, that was a different season. We're in a very different place at the end. You are always in a very different place at the end of the season from where you are at the beginning of the season. Anyway, it's not a continuous thing. It's you've stopped. You've ended the season. Put that season in a box. Put it in the archive. Start a new one.
Yeah. I mean, the only real time I ever tried to do that was the season we won into the National League. We won the Conference South with like 26 games unbeaten. And then we were going into the conference, the national, and it was like we're looking at potentially going towards the longest winning streak in the national, the unbeaten streak in the National League. And then Solihull Moors battered us 4-0. Well, that doesn't count anyway.
You did make a good point then, Mike, because you said the only constant is us. Now, actually, obviously, the fans are important. We are an important part of the club, and the fact that for us, it's even if some of the players weren't at the club then that we've got now, for us, it's been that long without seeing a win. And that is still important because we're the ones who have to get behind the team. And it's harder to do that when you feel like you're not getting as much back as you'd like. Now, I'm not saying that's how I feel. I can see those players out there trying their best. I know they are. And we've played some good football this season. We've not always been lucky, which you're never going to be on football. And we have played some very strong opposition. Yeah. And also, for all me and my joking about winning the league every 5 years, no one's actually expecting us to win the title, so we're not going to beat everybody. But still, You know how it is. Cheltenham Town have to win the league for us to win the league. That's how it goes, isn't it? Oh no, it's the other way around. They win the league every time we win the. No, we win the league every time they win the league. Right.
So kids, Christmas is clearly cancelled because I put everything on the winning the league. Right, next up, and the start of the run. We have got Carlisle, nice little small club. Bunch of Northerners turning up to Gander Green Lane. I mean, the players did. I don't know if you saw that little video. That was the players' idea to do that video of "We want you behind the goal. We want to come out to a wall of noise." That was all from them. But as you say, it's then getting more and more difficult because it's like we've done this and nothing's happened. But it is happening. It's bringing the players closer. They're knowing we're doing things for them, so they're going to be wanting to do things for us. The form is quite different. We're going into it, as I said, we've not won anything. Carlisle are, I think they're third. They beat Braintree quite easily, and Willstone they beat as well. So we're kind of psychologically coming from this as a weaker side, and they're full of confidence. How do you think it's going to go?
That's the sort of game you win, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, it's the sort of games we used to lose because a few years ago, I remember we were going into a game, we were pushing for the title. I think it was before we got promoted. We're doing really, really well. And then Torquay came rock bottom of the league. They hadn't won in forever. They came to our place on a Tuesday, long journey, and they beat us. And it's like, yep, great. Thanks a lot, guys. That's exactly what I like. We used to
always do that when Paul Doswell was our manager.
Yeah.
He was a very good man manager. He was very good at the psychology, and we would win the big games with him. But then we were playing Braintree on a Tuesday night, we'd lose.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's when Braintree went down.
Yeah. So, but
Truro City came to us and they didn't have any players and they beat us. And they were in crisis.
Yes.
But then we beat all the teams at the top of the league.
We're flipping this. We're going to be beating the teams at the top of the league.
Let's do it.
What do you think? I mean, we've got Dave coming back. I can't remember who else they've got of ours. But what are you expecting from Saturday?
I'm expecting to be playing against a very strong opponent. I'm not going to lie.
22 blokes to run around after a ball. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm expecting that. And then someone else to referee it. Not necessarily a bloke, but probably a bloke.
No.
So yeah. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I'm just from what I've thought. All I've thought so far is that's going to be a tough game. I mean, everyone knows that's going to be a tough game. I can't really say anything particularly interesting because that's all we expect. It's going to be a tough game. But I mean, we've seen flashes of brilliance, and one day it's going to come together. And who knows? Maybe it'll be Saturday.
Yep.
Who knows? We'll see. We'll do that wall of noise, see if it makes a difference. Because a lot of these tough games we've had so far, Solihull, not Solihull. I meant to say Forest Green. It came out as Solihull. A lot of them have been away, and actually, we've not had our big crowd of young lads. They weren't there yesterday, and they weren't at Forest Green. It's obviously it's a kind of place that it's very difficult to get back from, and very expensive to get to as well. So we didn't have. I mean, to be fair, one thing that I enjoyed. I'm sorry, I'm going off at a tangent here, but I'm sure you don't mind. One thing I kind of enjoyed about yesterday was because that big group of lads wasn't there, and I'm not saying I enjoyed them not being there. I love the noise they make, but because they weren't, some of the old school fans had to step in instead. And we had the old school chanting that we used to have like 15 years ago before those lads started turning up. Maybe even longer ago than that. And it was very nostalgic. It was very nostalgic. I quite like that.
But the requesting
Saturday, I'm sure they'll all be back in force, and we'll have even more noise. And it'll be a different atmosphere, maybe.
Yeah. Right. You don't do the prediction league.
I don't know.
I'm going to get you to do a prediction. What do you reckon its score is going to be? No one listens to this bit. Don't worry about it. Just make up the score.
I'll make it up. I don't like saying this because if you're gonna force me to make a prediction, I'm gonna have to say we'll lose. Because otherwise, I'm like an idiot when we lose.
We just lost, Sarah. No.
I don't like predicting that we lose because it feels like I'm not having faith in our players, and I think they're great, and I think we've got a great side.
Well, we have a thing of if you predict a loss and we win, then everyone loves you. They keep making me ridiculous.
That's true. And then actually no one will ever remember that I predicted we'd lose. I reckon, okay, let's say 2-0 defeat.
Okay.
I've never predicted a defeat in the podcast before, I don't think.
That's the opposite of what I've done. I've gone for a 2-0 win because, same as you. I can't. I just like
all now, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm going to go with Nadders to start his scoring run, get his pre-season form back. Interestingly, AI, who I've kind of got to research it and go through, has gone with us to win 2-1 with Brandon to score first. And I think that's the first time this season it's predicted us to win. So
given what AI has given us so far, I'm surprised it didn't predict Jack Sims to score the goal.
Well, it was the one that a couple of weeks ago predicted Will Davis to score. It was like, I'm not sure how much I'm going to trust this, but it's caught up with yourself. It's fine. And also, I'm going to see if we can do a storybook on this one as well, because that was very funny.
Exciting.
That AI storybook. I'm loving it.
My kids will like that.
I might just stop doing the podcast and just put out the storybooks.
Just stop doing the podcast,
Yeah. We're going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate everyone's attention and feedback. Joe's rolling his eyes somewhere. Get involved in the Knowing Me, Knowing You segment. How do you travel to home games, and do you do it the same way each time? And what does your routine look like? Follow, like, and share Sutton Podcast on all social medias. Give us comments and whatnot. And thank you to Sarah. Dan is obviously recovering from his 2 pies at the weekend, wasn't it, Sarah?
Yep, two pies at Rochdale with lots of gravy. We can see you out there, Dan 2 Pies Taylor, lying on your bed, clutching your stomach in agony. That's what's happening. That's why he's not answering his messages.
But thank you also to Lucky Star Gin, our sponsors. Thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Take care, and we'll catch up soon. Bye-bye. United!